The blood of Christ was shed for more than just getting you into heaven. It was shed to redeem you, to justify you, to set you apart. It empowers you, it covers you, and fully forgives you. Oh, church, I don't know if you get it. Let me just share this part right here, and this is my heart, church. Especially for you guys that feel like this is familiar. I already know this. I'm already thinking about dinner. I'm already thinking about my other plans. Look at this. Jesus bled from 7 different places. Did you know that? We see in Leviticus chapter 17, verse 11, that there is life in the blood. And as Jesus would be the sacrificial lamb for all of humanity, his life would flow from his body to cover you. First, you look at his face. As we read it in Isaiah, it was prophesied that they would not just punch Jesus as he had a bag over his face, but they would get his beard and pull it out of his face. The blood would flow all over his mouth. Why? For every single word you said that you should have never said. Our words should be used to glorify God, to worship him and to praise him. How have you been using your words? The blood of Christ covered that. The soldiers mocked him, and they took him and they paraded him, and they got a crown of thorns, and these things are long, and they put it on his head. They got a stick and pow, patted on his head, allowing the thorns to pierce his skull. The blood would flow from his skull all the way down. Why? For 2 reasons. For every single thought that you had that you should have never thought. Remember, Jesus raised the expectations of morality. He says this: lust or cheating is no longer physical, but if you have lust on your mind, it's equivalent. Oh, church, how far we all fall short of the glory of God. We have so many thoughts that race through our heads, hundreds, if not thousands. How can we control it? How can we ever be forgiven? The blood of Christ. The blood of Christ then fell down to his eyes. Why? For every single time you and I looked at that we should have never looked at. And church, I know we have youngins here, so I don't have to get too detailed, but you know what I'm talking about. Where you did that second glance, where you entertained those images for so long. What you've done in the dark, God says, still counts. God is not mocked. But I can't help it. Who's going to save me from this? The blood of Christ covers it. They took Jesus to the praetorium, where they would whip him, not with like a belt, but they would whip him with this lashing that had 7 different cords that had glass and bone and stone. It was designed to make people confess your crimes. Confess your crimes. And Jesus was completely innocent. He had nothing to confess. He took 40 lashings in the back as they ripped into his back, exposing it, making it look like hamburger meat. Why? For every single time that you and I turned our back on Jesus. Every single time we knew what was right. I can't. We know how to glorify God. No. They put a heavy cross onto him, and they made him carry it all the way up to Calvary. Scholars would say it weighed like 200 pounds or something like that. But can you imagine the wood on the exposed skin? Every time he would bump or whatever, the pain that would cause. They took him to Calvary, and they got his left hand, and they got his right hand, and they pierced it with nails. Now, church, this is what's crazy. If you look at it, in art today, we see the nail here, right? It couldn't bend, because it had carried his body, his hand would be split in 2. So they pierced his wrist right here, where he would hang, and in the center of your wrist are where all your nerve endings are at. Think of it like an exposed electric wire going everywhere as they pierced his wrist, his left and his right, and the blood flowed onto his hands. Why? For every single time that we used our hands, not in a way that glorified God. Did we raise it in anger, raise it in hate? Did we raise it in rebellion? How did we use these hands? They got his feet, and they put them together, and they got another long nail, and they pierced his feet to the cross. The blood flowing down past his feet. Why? For every single time you and I walked away from God. And we turned to our own sin. God, I know what's right, but I can't. God, I want to glorify you, but not today. He bled there. Now, you might be thinking, you might have said this, Epi, or maybe you might be thinking, I never heard that before. But there might be one, or if not 10, or whatever many people here that says this. That's awesome and all. But you don't know me. You don't know my story. You don't know my trauma. You don't know my anxiety. You don't know what I've gone through. You don't know about how my heart was just torn out of my chest. You don't know what my kids did to me. You don't know what my dad did to me. You can fill in the blank. And I'd smile at you. And I'd say, Jesus bled there too. As the Roman guard took the spear and pierced his side, allowing the blood to come out. The blood of Christ covers us from head to toe, from inside out, church. Not so that we can check a box and say, yay, I'm super Christian today. It's not to say, yay, I went to church for 2 times this month. No, the blood of Christ was shed so we can have life and life abundantly. That we can live heaven on earth today, church. That you no longer get to be enslaved to your sin, enslaved to your shame, enslaved to your anxieties, enslaved to your depression, enslaved to it all because the blood of Christ covers you fully and completely. Church, remember, have this freshness on your heart, the freshness on your mind of the blood of Christ. That you can be justified. You can be considered innocent, that the wrath of God, once again, was placed on his shoulders so it wouldn't be on yours.